Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the 2021 Athletic Code meeting. This meeting is mandatory for all high school students and parents. Also, it is out there for middle school students and parents. It is not mandatory for you to watch this, but it will give you some very good information if you are interested in what is going on in the world of athletics here at Weyauwega-Fremont. Last year was a very interesting year in athletics in 2020-2021. As COVID-19 was the dominant headline. We are hoping that everything will get back to normal in the 2021-2022 school year. Please note that all high school students and parents must watch this video presentation. At least one of the parents and the high school athlete must watch this video, and there will be a verification form at the end that needs to be filled out online. In this video, the following items will be covered for the Athletic Code meeting this year. We'll discuss our philosophy and goals, the start date for all sports. We have a brand new online registration system that will be used this year. It is different from last year. I'll explain that in detail as we go through this. We will talk about our school website and the app that you can download onto your smartphone. Any kind of WI rules and regulations, concussion insurance, which has been around now for about 4 years. However, just want to make that known to you again. The highlights of our athletic code, baseline test, that again is also different this year as we have a new little system or nuance that goes along with the baseline test. And we also have a new logo and nickname that will be a part of this presentation. The philosophy for the Weyauwega-Fremont Athletic Department is as follows. It is an integral part of the Weyauwega-Fremont High School curriculum, which is a privilege and should elicit pride in both student, athlete, and family. Co-curricular activities provide unique opportunities for students to promote their mental, physical, social, and emotional development. The co-curricular program provides and extends the privilege of enriching the mind and body to all students meeting district and WIA requirements. We have goals for our athletic programs. Some of the goals which are listed up here include to develop leadership and responsibility, to show team spirit, encouragement, and good morale, to be fair and treat others fairly. The fourth one I want to talk about a little bit more in detail, to keep commitments to learn. It is a commitment to go out for a sport here at Weyauwega-Fremont. Sometimes it appears or seems that sometimes people like to quit commitments that they are involved in. And just a little note that it sometimes is easier once you quit the first time, it is easier to quit the next time. So we are trying to teach all athletes to be committed to what they have signed up for. We also would like them to experience a variety of activities to a wide variety of student abilities and interests. Other goals that we have for the program include treating all people with respect, including teammates, coaches, officials, accept responsibility and set an example for teammates, peers, younger students, fans, and the school community. There are many young students here at Weyauwega-Fremont in the elementary school that look up to the high school athletes in particular. When we have a student that goes to state in one of our different sports, it kind of gets the community together, and younger students are hoping that someday down the road that they also will be able to be in the same spot as that athlete that attended state. So that is a big responsibility for our athletes, but one that many of you have done a great job of over the years. To understand the necessity of abstaining from the use of alcohol, tobacco, and other drugs in order to achieve positive benefits of athletics. To realize that participating is a privilege, comes with accompanying responsibilities, and to generate a sense of pride and unity for students, staff, and community. At this time, you will see up on the screen a code. The code is hole in one. That code will need to be inputted onto the verification form underneath the video where you access this on the Weyauwega-Fremont website. Again, the code that you see up there, code number 1, is hole in one. There will be a second code that gets shown a little bit later in this video as well. So because this year We are opening this up to middle school students as well. Again, I'm going to try to make that crystal clear. Middle school students and parents do not have to watch this video, but if you are watching this video right now, it is going to give you some of the information that is needed to help your son or daughter have a successful athletic season or seasons here at Weyauwega-Fremont. You'll notice the start dates for the sports for high school and also for middle school at the bottom. High school football, believe it or not, will start August 3rd. By the time you see this video, that will probably be about 2 weeks down the road. All of the other high school sports are pretty much set in stone up there with the exception of golf. The WIA has not determined a start date for the golf season as of yet. Again, I want to make you all aware that I'm believing that these will be the start dates. COVID-19 again has lessened or subsided a little bit in both our community, our county, our state, etc. But if something would actually happen to change like it did last year, the seasons might be at a different start time. You'll notice at the bottom of the screen, middle school practices in the fall. Football will start August 3rd, cross country August 18th, and volleyball will start August 23rd. For the winter and spring seasons for middle school sports, as we are not part of the WIA for the middle school, we can kind of set our own start dates for those middle school sports. And again, you will see up there that they are not totally determined as to the exact start date, but again, as it gets closer to the start of that season, the coaches will reach out to the individual kids and let them know when they will be starting their practices. So this year we have a brand new system for online registration. In my 11 years as athletic director, we have made quite a few changes over the years when it comes to how to make this easier for you. So you will notice up on the screen it says online registration, and underneath that is the website that you will need to use to set up an account to register your son or daughter online. This is different than last year, so this is the website that you will need to go to be able to register your son or daughter for athletics at Weyauwega-Fremont. This link will appear on the Weyauwega-Fremont School District webpage as well. It will appear on the athletics page, and then if you scroll all the way down to the bottom, you'll see some quick links. And one of the things on there it will say is athletic forms new in 2021. That is how you can register your son or daughter for athletics this year at Weyauwega-Fremont. You also can make an online payment, which is available on the above link as well. Instead of paying cash, you can actually put in a debit or credit card, and that will allow you to make a payment for your son or daughter. Your physical can also be uploaded onto this registration form by simply just taking a picture of it and sending it to this website. Should be a lot easier. There should really be no paperwork whatsoever. But if you have any questions about this, please call the athletic office at 920-867-8864. So on that online registration, these are the following forms that you will be signing off on. Again, pretty much all you're going to have to do is fill out the forms on that link that you saw on the last slide. The athletic code, the 2021-2022 WIA eligibility form, the concussion form, etc. One note on the physical form. Athletes need a physical every other year. With COVID-19 being a big headline last year, the WIA allowed a physical waiver form to be used. This year, in 2021-2022, physical waiver forms are not allowed. Meaning, if your son or daughter last year had an alternate year card, they would need to get a physical this year. Alternate year cards are needed in years in which athletes didn't need a physical. Again, to try to make it simple for you to understand, if they had a physical last year, they would need an alternate year card this year. If they had an alternate year card last year, they would need to get a physical this year. Again, there is no physical waiver form allowed this year by the WIA or by Weyauwega-Fremont School District. There also is a cautionary emergency sign-off form that is part of the registration form online. In addition, a $25 athletic fee must be paid for high school students per sport. If your son or daughter goes out for 3 sports, let's just say football, basketball, and baseball, they would then have to pay $75 throughout the year. For middle school students, it is a $15 athletic fee. Please note, baseline testing must be completed as well. The test must be taken every other year for high school students and every year for middle school students. So as I mentioned in the introduction, it is going to be done a little bit different. Some of your sons or daughters probably did this in the spring as we kind of worked through the bugs on this, but our athletic trainer, Gary Primo, will actually send a code out in an email to your student's email address, and they can actually take the baseline test remotely. Thus, they would not have to come into school to take the baseline test. If that is an issue, if you are unable to do that remotely, please feel free to call school at 920-867-8864 if you need to make other arrangements for the baseline test. One more time in green, you'll see this at the bottom. This presentation must be viewed, and the form on the school website underneath this presentation must be completed as proof of viewing and understanding for high school students only. If that is not done, you may not begin practice until this video, all the forms, and the fee is paid. One other thing that was kind of big news for us in the 2020-2021 school year, the high school retired the Indian nickname, and it was decided that our new nickname going forward would be the Warhawks. On this slide, you can see the official logo of the Weyauwega-Fremont Warhawks. Over the years, of course, we have kind of stuck with just the words Weyauwega-Fremont on our uniforms. That will be changing going forward. It is a process, but again, you will notice this is the new logo and nickname of Weyauwega-Fremont going forward, and that is for both middle school and high school. If you need to access any kind of information about the schedules, about the maps, about the scores, about the standings, cancellations, postponements, etc., there are two ways to find out this information. You will notice the top blue link says centralwisconsinconference.org. Sometimes people mess that up and put .com at the end, but it is centralwisconsinconference.org. If you click on that link, which I'm hoping many of you have done already over the years, that will take you directly to the Weyauwega-Fremont website, which will show all of the following that it is listed at the bottom with schedules, maps, scores, standings, etc. If you don't want to remember that website, you can go to the Weyauwega-Fremont website, which also is listed up there, and if you click on the athletics icon and then click on view sports schedules here, you will also be taken to that exact same website. Please note at the bottom where it talks about scores, the WIA has also, over the course of the past couple of years, and this year they're probably going to do this for almost every single varsity sport, at the conclusion of a varsity baseball game, football game, basketball game, whatever it may be, that score is inputted into the WIA system, and immediately, if you go to the WIA website, you will be able to see how not only Weyauwega-Fremont did in a certain sporting event, but everybody else that played on that given night throughout the state. It is some really good information, especially if you are concerned or would like to know what other schools in our conference and throughout the state of Wisconsin are actually doing. On this screen, you will notice the icon in the bottom left-hand corner. Kind of looks like a blue hat, and the letters RST are on that blue hat. If you have not done this as of yet, this is an app for your smartphone. That RST stands for Our School Today, and that will also take you to all of the same things that you saw on the website that you were able to access before on the centralwisconsinconference.org website. Again, a very handy thing to do, especially if you are in the stands and wanting to know maybe who a certain player is on the court, or maybe what the standings of all the teams are in the conference. Moving on to WIA rules and regulations. If there is any, and this just does apply to high school students, so please keep that in mind. If there are any high school transfer students that are coming to our school for the first time ever, if you are coming from a parochial school into 9th grade, this really does not apply to you, but I would be willing to sit down and talk to you as well if need be. But if there is a student that transfers from another school, they need to come and see me. So if you transferred from Winneconne as a sophomore, if you transferred from Berlin as a junior, whatever it may be, please stop in to see the athletic athletic director before any practice takes place. I'm quite certain that coaches will probably be your first person to communicate with you. However, I really do need to make sure that you are eligible to participate both in practices and in games here at Weyauwega-Fremont. A couple more things to make sure everybody is well aware of what is going on with the WI, with rules and regulations. A student athlete disqualified from a contest for flagrant or unsportsmanlike conduct is also suspended from the next competitive event. A few years ago, when I used to be the baseball coach around here, there was a student that got suspended from a baseball game. He got thrown out of the baseball game as a senior. That senior from that baseball team was ineligible to play in the next baseball game, and thus ending his career forever. So especially when we get to the time when tournaments come around, when everybody wants to make sure that their team makes it to the next level, please be aware that if you are disqualified from a contest, this is not a Weyauwega-Fremont rule, this is a WIA rule that says that you will have to sit out the next competitive event. Any student athlete suspended during the WIA tournament series for athletic code WIA violations will be ineligible for the remainder of the tournament series. One other thing the WIA put into effect a few years ago was an assault on an official. Any player who spits on, strikes, slaps, kicks, pushes, or intentionally and aggressively physically contacts an official at any time shall be immediately ineligible for competition a minimum of 90 calendar days. In addition, the player is ineligible to compete for the first 25% of the next season in that same sport. You'll see up there that I put in parentheses the words official shortage. Just a quick story for you on this one. A good friend of mine who works for the Wisconsin Timber Rattlers said his daughter, this was in July of 2021, so this summer, they actually had to call off the tournament because they had no officials there for the game that she was about to play in. So instead of playing on Saturday, they had to cancel that tournament and move it to Sunday. There is a huge official shortage in the state of Wisconsin right now. I am always looking for people that are willing to step up to the plate and be an official for any sport that we have here at Weyauwega-Fremont. If you have any interest in becoming an official, please give me a call at 920-867-8864. I know in most cases you probably would not want to officiate your own son or daughter's event, but as your son or daughter gets closer to graduating, and this is something that you might be interested in, please feel free to give me a call. Student athletes may now receive awards that don't exceed $100 and keep apparel items which are worn for non-school athletic competition as part of a team uniform. Back in 2017, the WI began providing concussion insurance to its member schools. Student athletes who are injured in practice or play are covered. The WIA will pay for covered charges after the primary insurance has been exhausted. So if you have insurance and your insurance company has simply said they no longer will cover any more of the care that is needed for your son or daughter, the WI will actually step in. A secondary policy will pay secondary to any primary insurance in place. Any covered charges your primary insurance will not cover, which includes deductibles, co-pays, and out-of-pocket charges. The athletic code here at Weyauwega-Fremont is in effect 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and it lasts 365 days a year. In other words, if a student takes part in athletics while enrolled at Weyauwega-Fremont, the document is always in effect. One of the things that most people are concerned about deals with eligibility. If a student receives an F, they must sit out a minimum of 15, and please note highlighted and underlined 15 school days. It is not calendar days, but it is school days before they are eligible for reinstatement. A return to sports waiver form must be filled out and signed by all of the student's current teachers on the same date. So after those 15 days are done, your child would come to the athletic director's office and pick up a return to sports waiver form. They then, on that specific date, all on that same date, would go around to their current teachers, and if they are passing every single one of those classes, they would then bring that return to sports waiver form back to the athletic director's office, and then I would let the coach know whether or not that student was eligible to participate again in the sport that they are partaking in. Please note that if you are ineligible for academics, it does not mean that you cannot practice. You still can practice. You just may not take part in the competitions for that given event. Grades for eligibility are determined at the following times: at the end of the first quarter, the end of the first semester, end of third quarter, and end of second semester. A few other things about eligibility that we need to talk about: students with unexcused absences, school suspensions, or expulsions are barred from participation during this time period. If there is a student athlete that quits during a season, they may not join another sport during the same season without mutual agreement by the coaches involved and the athletic director. So to give you a quick example here, if there is a member of the football team and they decide that they are going to quit during the season, and they would like to become a member of the cross-country team, myself and both the football coach and the cross-country coach and the student involved would all need to have a short little discussion about this, making sure that it is best for every single person that is involved. If your son or daughter gets injured, no matter how slight, please make sure that they report that to the coach. The coach will then send that off to the athletic trainer, who will document this and make sure that they get the proper care. All students participating in co-curricular activities are expected to ride the bus to and from competitions. Please note that there are some coaches here at Weyauwega-Fremont that always want their son or daughter to ride the bus to the competition and from the competition. However, there are some other coaches that will actually allow a student to ride home with their parents. A note is needed for that to happen. If you have any other questions about riding home with parents, I guess the first thing I would do is talk to your son or daughter's coach. And then if you can't get the answer that you're looking for necessarily, you may come and talk to me and I can kind of clarify what is going on in that particular situation. Probably the most important thing in this entire presentation is the Weyauwega-Fremont Activity Code. You will notice that these are the violations that are listed on pages 5 and 6 in the Athletic Code. There are other things in the Athletic Code that also can get your son or daughter in trouble. I guess the best advice I can give is to just simply do the right thing. But you will notice some of the violations up here that could cause your son or daughter to miss a number of games would include any kind of criminal behavior, any kind of chemical health violation, presence in a bar or tavern, presence at a party. If you are actually hosting the party, you are going to get twice as much of a punishment as a person that is not hosting, but in both cases I would say stay away from that party altogether. And the cyber image policy also is listed. I would strongly suggest, and again, I know when you guys fill out the online registration, there's a time where we just simply have to sign the name, but I'd strongly suggest looking at pages 5 and 6 in your athletic code to make absolutely sure you understand exactly what you have signed up for. We truly do want as many participants as possible on all of our athletic teams, but we want to make sure that they are doing things that represent our school district and community in a positive way. If there is a reason for a violation and a penalty, the first violation would be suspension for 25% of the season. So to give an example, if there is a sport that has 20 different events, they would have to sit out 5 of those 20 events. Second violation would be suspension for 50% of the season. Third violation would be suspended for 1 calendar year. Thus, they would miss all of their sports for 1 calendar year. A fourth violation would be suspension for the rest of their high school career. If an athlete is suspended from a sport because they have broken one of the violations that was shown on the previous slide, they still need to attend team meetings and practices, but they may not compete. Please note that there has been times in my 11-year career here at Weyauwega-Fremont as the athletic director where a student decided that because they were suspended, they simply said, well, I'm just not going to go to practice any longer. They can surely do that, but please understand if they do that, the suspension will still go into effect the next time they decide to go out for a sport. So if they decide to not attend practices, that suspension will stay on the books until they have served their time. If there is a person that was a team captain, they will have their captainship revoked and they will no longer be eligible to be named captain during their high school career for an athletic code violation. A few years ago we went to a little ceremony at Lambeau Field where we talked about kind of putting some teeth into this. So if we want somebody that is really truly going to be a captain for Weyauwega-Fremont Athletics, we want to make sure that they are doing the right thing. And of course an athletic code violation is something we want to kind of stay away from. To be reinstated as a member of an athletic team, the following three things must take place. Number one, they need to, as I mentioned before, attend all practices, meetings, and be present at all competitions. Even though they are not able to participate in that competition, they need to still be at that competition. I will be speaking to the head coach of that sport to make absolutely sure that that student athlete has followed through with number one. A written letter that is given to the athletic director, and I will go over that letter with that student. So if we ever get to this point for a reinstatement, a student would need to write a letter, bring it down to me, and then we would talk about what they have learned based on the violation that occurred. Finally, a verbal apology to the team needs to take place, and they would need to re-sign the athletic code. So as you see up here on the screen right now, you are noticing code number 2. Code number 1 was earlier in this presentation. Code number 2, of course, as you can see up there, is the word pole vault. Again, what needs to be done is both of these codes need to be inputted into the verification form that you will find on the website below the athletic code meeting link on the Weyauwega-Fremont webpage. So code number 2 again is pole vault. So I guess I'm going to say this one more time. Please be certain to fill out the online verification form found on the website below this presentation as proof that you have viewed and understand this information. This again is for high school students and parents only. Middle school students and parents, if you are watching this right now, you do not have to fill out the verification form. This is not something that is mandated for you to partake, but again, there has been a lot of good information in this video in case you have any questions about anything going on. Finally, ladies and gentlemen, just giving you one last reminder here. This must be completed before an athlete is eligible to practice or participate. The $25 fee for the high school student and a $15 fee for the middle school student must be paid. A physical alternate year card, and again, all that information can be uploaded to the online registration, which is listed in number 3 up here. The online verification form needs to be filled out and submitted. Again, that is for high school student athletes and parents only. Again, middle school students do not have to do the online verification form. And the baseline test is completed. Please note with the baseline test that your coach will get those names to Gary Primo, and as soon as our athletic director or athletic trainer Gary Primo gets that list, he will then send out those online verification, or excuse me, the baseline test code that you will be able to fill out and get done before the start of the season. If you have any questions whatsoever, my contact information is listed right up here. Feel free to email me at jfazer@wfsd.k12.wi.us or give me a call at 920-867-8864. Not in every day during the summer, but of course once we get to mid-August for sure, and of course during the school year, I will be able to assist you with anything that you might need. Thank you for listening to this online verification or online video. If you have any questions, again, feel free to give me a call. Thanks.